This is Joy News Desk. Good morning. Coming up, governing New Patriotic Party becomes minority in Parliament after Speaker Afenyo-Markin declares 4 seats vacant, shifting the balance of power in the House.
Of the polls, the following members of Parliament have by their actions vacated their seats in Parliament.
Also, stakeholders worried about a new curriculum and time of learning for students in Ghana's senior high schools. We would hear from the Ministry of Education on that. We've also got business updates on our desk. You want to take a seat and be our guests. Many thanks for your time. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Let's get into our first story. The governing New Patriotic Party has become the minority in Parliament, with the opposition National Democratic Congress now the new majority, after the Speaker of Parliament, Afenyo-Markin, declared 4 seats vacant. It follows a push by the NDC to have some MPs, 3 on the NPP side and 1 on the NDC side, who are now contesting on different platforms than the ones they came to the 8th Parliament on. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante sat through that historic ruling and now reports.
It was perhaps the most anticipated ruling of the 8th Parliament, and it took hours in coming. Speaker of Parliament Afenyo-Markin, upon taking his seat, zoomed right into his decision.
When voters elect a candidate, they do so based not only on the individual's personal qualities, but also on the political party platform they represent. Party switching or defection, therefore, can be seen as a breach of the mandate and social contract between the Member of Parliament and the electorate. These constitutional safeguards ensure that members of Parliament remain accountable to both their parties and the electorate.
Afenyo-Markin then proceeded to thrash argument that the constitutional provisions in question only applies to the future.
If Article 97(1)(g) and (h) were to apply only in future parliaments, it will render these provisions effectively superfluous. By the time the next parliament is constituted, any member of parliament who has defected or switched political allegiance during the current parliament will no longer be in violation of the provision.
Afenyo-Markin then declared all 4 seats as vacant.
Accordingly, I proceed to inform the House that by the notification of the polls, the following members of Parliament have by their actions vacated their seats in Parliament.
So what exactly will this mean to the composition of Parliament? There was a hint in the Speaker's ruling.
The resultant effect on the composition of this House would be that the NDC would have 136 seats, while the MPP would have 135 seats. That's making the NDC the majority party in Parliament.
But the NPP group are now set to boycott Parliament until the Supreme Court determines the case they have filed.
A conspiracy between the Speaker and the minority to bring confusion in the House. It is clear that Mr. Speaker avoided service of the writ to do the bidding of the NDC. The majority caucus immediately are boycotting Parliament until this matter is determined by the Supreme Court.
However, the NDC group are already basking in their newfound role as the majority group in Parliament.
We have the working majority. Right, Honourable Speaker, beginning the next parliamentary sitting.
The House is set to reconvene on Tuesday, 22nd October, when the NDC MPs will now take the right-hand side of the Speaker, appoint chairpersons of certain key committees, and perhaps even elect a second deputy Speaker from among their colleagues. The NPP MPs will, however, fight this to the end. Kweku Asante for Joy News.
Let's speak to political scientist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Amakye Boateng, for some analysis. Doc, many thanks for your time. There are two major issues or angles that we need clarity on. So we'll look at what this means in terms of representation and then how the Supreme Court's ruling fits into all of this. But first, how did you receive this news, this historic moment? I think that this would be the highlight of the 8th Parliament, but how did you receive the news?
Well, actually, I told myself that the political parties are being called on to reflect soberly on their actions and inactions in terms of enforcing proper democratic practices and also practicing good governance. I see everything that occurred yesterday as outcomes of the governance, the nature of governance, the type of governance that, go on in the political parties, and that they have been sort of acting contrary to their own provisions in their constitutions. And so members of the party too have been emboldened to take these actions that they have taken, and the repercussions are here for all of us to see.
In terms of repercussions, what are the advantages and disadvantages for our current legislature with just 50 days to go to the polls?
If we limit ourselves to, if you like, the positives for the legislature, I believe that they are going to be impressed upon to address themselves closely to the national interest and to serve the public good, simply because we have elections, staring at us. So if you don't behave in ways that indicate that you are not necessarily taking undue advantage of this to serve a partisan interest, I expect that to backfire, and I expect, citizens to react to that, come December when we go to the polls.
Doc, would you say, sorry, I have to interject. Would you say, though, that the Speaker is acting on some partisan bias in this case?
Well, before the ruling of the Speaker, I had the opportunity to relate to the issue, and I told myself that a common sense interpretation of that provision in the Constitution will have to take out time as a factor, and also will have to take out the outcome, irrespective of the nature of the outcome. The Speaker will have to look at the provision as it is, and that the provision emphasizes the locus of members of Parliament at the time of such incidents. And to me, the Speaker did so. I don't see any partisan, if you like, consideration in the ruling of the Speaker.
Right. You were going to go on to the disadvantages after the advantages of this for our legislature.
Well, actually, MPP is threatening to stay out of Parliament, and obviously that would be a disadvantage. Generally, to everybody, once they stay away, we won't get proper deliberation of issues, to get, the needed outcome. In the absence of that, I like to believe that we don't have to see what has happened, the outcome as disadvantage, because of the disciplining effect this is going to have on our politics.
Right.
Politicians and political parties alike, I think from this time to go, will not necessarily, consider their own special parochial interest, but will always want to balance issues. In the absence of that, if there happens to be a provision of this nature in the Constitution and it gets triggered, then they will be punished the way things have happened now.
Doug, even before this ruling came to be, there were talks about interference of the Supreme Court or the courts in Parliament's business. Parliament is supposed to be an independent body, but the, should I say now, former majority speaker did run to the Supreme Court. And now that they are threatening to boycott Parliament unless or until the Supreme Court rules on this matter, where does the Supreme Court ruling really sit in this. Would they be able to turn the tide if the Supreme Court determines that the Speaker's ruling should be nullified?
I'm not very sure that I've come across any such a situation anywhere before.
Right.
But then we all know that the Supreme Court, reserves the right to have a final say on what provisions in the Constitution mean. And so I don't know. Maybe they might go ahead and speak to the issue, but the issue as to whether it will have what we call a post-facto effect is what I'm not sure, because already a decision has been taken on the basis of the understanding of the Speaker of Parliament, who has the right to do that. The Speaker of Parliament reserves the right to provide interpretations of the Constitution as and when necessary.
So where does that leave?
Later,
okay.
Yeah, I'm saying that if later the Supreme Court comes in, that is why I'm saying it might be a post facto. If there had been an earlier ruling of the Supreme Court, then maybe the ruler will be seen as having acted ultra vires. But now that we don't have, a prior interpretation, my understanding, although I'm not a legal expert, but my understanding is that post facto laws are not allowed, if you like, to take effect in politics.
Right.
And I expect that to happen, yes.
Doc, thank you so much for joining us on News Desk.
You're welcome.
That there is Dr. Amache Boakye, and he is a political scientist at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Meanwhile, former President John Dramani Mahama has expressed excitement over the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagben's ruling declaring 4 parliamentary seats vacant. Now, the National Democratic Congress's presidential candidate believes this is a good omen for the party going into the elections.
Excitement here in the Kpone Kantamanso constituency after Deputy Minority Chief Whip Comfort Doyokujo announced to the crowd that the NDC was the new majority in Ghana's parliament. Later in his speech, John Mahama described it as a sign of the NDC's impending victory in December.
Can you imagine that in the twilight to the end of the administration, God has given the NDC back the majority that it won in 2020. And even before we have cast one ballot, in the 2024 election, NDC is already the majority in parliament. And so there's no doubt in my mind, absolutely no doubt, by the grace of God, inshallah, that the NDC is winning the 7th December election.
On the first day of his tour of the Greater Accra region, the NDC presidential candidate visited the Ningo, Prampram, Kpone Kantamanso and Tema Central constituencies. In the Ningo Prampram constituency, John Mahama took a direct jab at President Akufo-Addo, suggesting that the president might be sleeping or is not in the country. President Akufo-Addo 2 days ago challenged former President John Dramani Mahama to clearly declare his stance on Galamsey and the free SHS.
It looks like he doesn't live in this country, because I've commented on Galamsey over and over again. So he should just tell his Flagstaff House media to get him the tape of what I said at the University of Energy and Natural Resources. Recently, when I met the clergymen, the Christian community, a part of my speech and the questions and answers was again on Galamsey and small-scale mining. And so, I mean, there's a lot that I've said. It is his responsibility. The people of Ghana elected him. He is currently the president of Ghana. And it is his responsibility to deal with Galamsey now. I know that after 7 January 2025, when Ghanaians have voted for me, I will take that responsibility and we will sort out illegal mining.
On the free SHS policy, he also directly responded to the president, promising that an NDC government would address the current challenges.
Again, he's not in this country or he has been sleeping, because I have made it clear that there are implementational problems with the free SHS. One, there's no dedicated funding. Two, parents are not happy with the double track. Three, the quality of food the children are giving is not good. And so I've said that NDC is going to come and fix these three things. One, we're going to corral part of our oil revenues into a dedicated fund, and that fund will be used to finance the free SHS. That's number one. Number two, we're going to fast-track the completion of our educational infrastructure so that we can ease the congestion in the schools, employ more teachers, and allow all our children to go to school at the same time instead of going on a traffic light. And Nana Akufo-Addo, three, I said I'll change your centralized feeding system. I'm going to decentralize the feeding of our children in secondary school. The money is going to go directly to their schools, and their schools will be responsible for procuring the food to feed the children in order that the food will be better quality.
John Mahama also ruled out the possibility of debating NPP presidential candidate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Bawumia doesn't deserve a debate. He is losing this election. I will not elevate him to my level and go and sit and debate him. Their campaign is failing. They have no message. And so he wants to be elevated to my level. No, 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 no. I know my level. In 2012, I was sworn in as president. And I went into that election as the sitting president. They called for a debate. I made myself available. I debated Nana Akufo-Addo. In 2016, I was the sitting president. IEA organized the debate. I made myself available. Nana Akufo-Addo refused to take part in the debate. In 2020, he was the sitting president. He refused to take part in a debate. But the one who responded to me when we made the call for the debate is the current flag bearer of the NPP, who is asking me for a debate. Has he forgotten what he said? That I should go to Sangma and go and debate the farmers of Sangma who don't have fertilizer. That I should go to Abosokai and go and debate the spare parts people who cannot buy dollar because dollar is 3 point something to 3 cedis point something to the dollar. He said I should go and debate the taxi drivers and the drivers who cannot buy petrol. This is the same Bawumia today asking me for a debate. As for him, the people he will debate are many. He should debate the nurses who are sitting at home who have not been posted. He should go and debate the teachers who are home who have not been posted and debate them about their licensure exams.
Away from that, let's do some other stories. Stakeholders in Ghana's educational space are worried about the limited time given to senior high school students to learn. They say this new practice, where students are automatically upgraded to new classes, hampers effective assimilation of what is taught. Let's engage Kwesi Kwarteng, and he speaks for the Education Ministry. But before that, I do want to, welcome aboard, Kwesi Kwarteng. Thank you for joining us on News Desk.
Yeah, thank you, and a very good morning to you.
Good morning. Now, before we start the conversation, I want to bring something to your attention. This is a letter that a concerned parent wrote to the ministry, and she's saying that I'm writing to appeal to you to review the recent changes you have made to the senior high school calendar for public schools. I am a parent of a Form 2 student, and let me skip to the part where she details the reason. She says, this current change means the current senior high school 2 students have spent an average of 12 weeks in school each semester, or up to a total of 51 weeks for the whole Form 1 and Form 2. My dearest Director General, I believe you will agree with me that this period is woefully inadequate for them to cover the required Form 1 and Form 2 WASI syllabus. And the implications of the change and its immediate implications mean the students will not have adequate time to prepare for and write their second semester exam. So these are just some concerns that some parents have. But first, tell us, why the need to review or change the curriculum to make it this?
All right, thank you very much. Let me say that if you recall, particularly post-COVID, there has been efforts by the Ghana Education Service to harmonize our academic calendar, or if you like, say, streamline it to be able to reverse back to the old normal. And when I say old normal, I am essentially referring to the fact that in terms of, for instance, the time or duration where we write the WASI exams, that was May, June. But if you recall, consistently it's been around July, August. Even if you recall the recent one that we wrote this year, it was written in August, September. And if we look at the consequential effect or impact on that exercise alone, in terms of we writing it in September rather than the usual May, June, what essentially happened is that instead of producing the source or students to be able to feed to the universities, it's also not aligning or is incoherent with the university's academic calendar at the end of the day. Even beyond that, we will recall that in terms of the WASI or the WAEC that we are signatory as a member to, we write together with other West African states. It is important to highlight that it is only Ghana that as of now, we are still writing ours in August, September, or July, August, if you, want to put it that way. And as a result of that, essentially means that we may have to, pay extra monies to WAEC to be able to organize separate exams for us. So it comes with extra cost. So what the Ghana Education Service, of course, largely together with the Ministry of Education, has been doing over the years is to, set a tone to transit and reverse the academic calendar to the old normal that we know, so that we will have students writing their WASI or WAEC exams in May, June, and of course, they also taking up admissions at the universities in September as well. So, that is largely the basis for these efforts. Change. This is not the first time it's been happening. Just parents believe that this is drastic, particularly if you make reference to the letter that you wrote. But if I'm allowed to proceed, I just want to
please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to lay a very quick foundation. If you look at previously the trimester system that we ran, students were in school for 3 months, essentially being 12 weeks. And that 12 weeks, that means that they were in school 12 times 5 days will be 60 days. 5 days times the 12 weeks will be 60 days. At that time, the NACA approved instructional hours for 7 hours. And so essentially, students were doing 7 hours multiplied by 60 days. But if you look at the cumulative hours that students were doing, considering first term, second term, third term, that the cumulative effect will be 1,260, which is multiplying 180 days by the 7 hours. That's the cumulative effect of the instructional hours that students were doing. But now, when we move to the semester base, particularly if we look at, the discussion within the context of this calendar, what we are also doing is we are doing, semester base, which essentially means that 16 weeks within a semester. So essentially, the 2 semesters will be 32 weeks. And when you multiply that also by the number of hours that we are doing, we are looking at essentially 32 weeks by 5 days, which is going to give you 160 days. So on the face value, one can say that in terms of the days, the previous days were rather, had more days than this time around.
Yes.
But the difference is that we've augmented and corrected same by increasing the instructional hours under the semester base to 8 hours. So if we want to look at the cumulative effect in terms of the instructional hours that students are having with their teachers in their classroom, that also translates into 1,280 hours. So clearly, if you compare even the semester system to the trimester system that we had before, students are rather having more instructional hours, at least over 20 hours instructional hours as compared to before. But of course, we do admit that in terms of, some structural inconvenience, it may occur. But
Mr.
assurance.
What you've said now is that the instructional hours will not be affected in terms of this new curriculum.
It's actually even been increased.
Right.
However, the point yes, okay.
However, if you look at the transition from Form 1 to Form 2, it means that immediately after writing the examination, there is no time to wait and even get your results. You just proceed right away to Form 2. How is the ministry? How did you arrive at such a decision? And has the concerns of some of these parents reached your attention?
Yes. First of all, let me say that even the Director General of Ghana Education Service has invited the concerned parent. I think 1 p.m. they will be meeting. If I recall the name as a signatory to letters, one Dr. Celestine, if I'm right.
Yeah, you're right.
So we've had such level of discussion where even today we are going to meet the parent. And most importantly, there's also been some stakeholder engagement even between the unions and parents associations and what have you. But most importantly, to the substantive question, I agree. If you recall, the first years were originally supposed to vacate on 5th of December 2024. And now they'll be vacating 28th of October and then resuming 30th. Essentially, it's not even a vacation, it's a break. Because as soon as they break, the following 2 days, they have to be promoted. And the whole idea is to also be able to make room for the first years that will be coming. Mind you, the foundation that I laid was that we admit that our calendar has not been aligned, for the past years now, particularly post-2020, the impact of COVID and all our educational reforms was a bit coherent in terms of the calendaring that we did. So I admit that, well, in terms of shortchange, one on the face value can see that there's about 1 month shortchange. But if you look at it critically in terms of the instructional hours, that has been augmented for as soon as
in terms
promoted.
of instructional hours, we agree that that is not where the problem is. But should we not get the results of how you fared in Form 1 before, based on the assessment of that, before you move to another class? That's how we do it. So if you're moving straight from Form 1 to Form 2 because you want to catch up with the rest of the African countries who are to concurrently do the WASI, this is impacting the students negatively, is it not?
It's a fair point to note. But you will also agree with me that if you look at the entire learning process, is not an event, it's a process. And even if you look at the assessment regime is done even with a more or less a retrospective, tone, where they have to take into consideration first year, second year, third year, all what they've learned into account before they are finally assessed, largely. So I agree that in terms of the internal assessment, is a valid point that maybe one may say that we may have to wait for it. But it's the same teachers that are teaching them, it's the same teachers that we've engaged, and they will have their own way, particularly when we've given them a lot of extended hours to be able to augment for when they get their assessment and feedbacks. They will be able to incorporate into when they go to the higher class.
Unfortunately, we do have to run, but I want to ask you, are these this new curriculum, is it subject to review? You did mention that you've invited some of these concerned parents.
I'm not sure it's a proposed calendar, if I'm right. It's a proposed calendar, if I'm right. For now, the briefing I have is that is all geared towards, creating an aligned calendar, particularly for the 2025-2026 WASI, and also to be able to, provide a streamlined number of students to be able to align with the university's calendar. And as of now, nothing has changed with regards to that, and we are very hopeful that as we stick to this, we'll be able to reverse back to the old normal that we used to have, so that in terms of getting students to our universities, particularly students who are also applying even to foreign universities and also aligning with the WAEC, the rest of the WAEC nations, we'll be able to streamline that process as well.
You said it's a proposed one, but Form 2 students may, according to the notice I have here, Form 2 students may leave school on October 28th, and Form 1 students will stay in school and begin their second year on the 29th of October. This is what's happening as we speak, isn't it?
I think what I meant by proposed calendar, I think it was in relation to the context of how the question was situated.
Okay.
That, I mean, will they be subject to, or will they be amenable to some level of changes?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, yes, as of now, this is the calendar that is in place. Of course, I mean, we do not expect or envisage it. Just like even in 2020, prior or before 2020, where nobody expected that there was COVID, but at the end of the day, we may have to align. So yes, I mean, is a calendar that we are all going by. Is the more reason why Ghana Education Service has communicated same intentions to the public. But of course, I mean, you never know anything that may happen, any unforeseen contingencies that may force any, I mean, review or what that is. But for now, this is the calendar that we are using.
Thank you so much. But before you go, so the concerned parents who may be watching this program right now, what is the message to them? That they should just continue with this while you review or, you know, make some amendments as we go? Or that, what's the message? What's the message to them? Because they're really concerned.
You are so excited with forcing me to say there will be amendments or not. Let me be emphatic.
I just want you to speak to the people who are concerned about this.
First of all, for the avoidance of doubt and purpose of clarity, this is the calendar that has been communicated by.
So this is the substantive calendar as we speak.
Well, that's the substantive calendar. I'm just sure you want to play with the semantics, but I'm more interested in addressing parents. Okay. And what I'm going to assure parents is that, first of all, parents are not being shortchanged, even students are not being shortchanged. Rather, the instructional hours has been increased. It's also important to highlight that in terms of laying a foundation, that foundation ought to be also communicated to parents, that it is not in the interest of Ghana Education Service or Ministry of Education, I mean, just to be causing amendments and reviews in calendar. But of course, it's all part of efforts to streamline and align our calendar to be able to get the best for our students at the end of the day. So, yeah, in terms of convenience, ultimately, I mean, some level of price has to be made, but we envisage that, and is the more reason why we've augmented for same through increasing the instructional hours as they go forward. And I think this also,
thank you so much.
Let me end here. I think a lot of parents believe that students will vacate and come home and the 2 days is short. No. They will still be in school and continue their academic activities.
Kwesi Kwarteng speaks for the Ministry of Education. Thank you so much for joining us on News Desk.
Thank you.
All right. Now, in other stories, the Senior Staff Association of the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research is demanding a revision of the air conditions of service. The group argues that many of its members are feeling demoralized after hearing accounts of many retirees who receive paltry sums of payment as lump sums from their pensions benefits. Blessed Suga has more as president of the senior staff.
The biannual conference of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research Senior Staff Association is underway in Accra with a focus on addressing SNIT and pension challenges.
I am 55 years and I'm like, when did I become 55? And so the pension will come and it will not waste time. It is so timely. I cry out every morning and I'm like, wow, the 60 years is right at the corner. Am I prepared? We have heard experiences of people being frustrated. Where are the lump sum money? Where is it? How can we plan with this lump sum money that is probably not existing or very inadequate and sometimes very frustrating?
Leading members of the association say their concerns go beyond the need.
Let's take you live to Parliament right now, where Alexander Afenyo-Markin is about to speak on what transpired in Parliament based on the Speaker's ruling right now.
We will not foment trouble in the House. As our first step, because of the chaos he has created, we have boycotted parliamentary sitting. Second, we are going to vigorously pursue our matter in court. We believe in the court, and we are going to pursue our matter in court until the court determines the matter. If the court makes a determination that indeed, per the provisions of Article 97.3, if a person, upon being elected a member of parliament on a particular ticket and decides to contest future elections under another ticket, that person will lose that seat, so be it, would abide by the rulings of the court. So, we'll stay back and not want to participate in the chaos in the chamber created by Mr. Speaker. Meanwhile, we have become aware that the injunction application has been overtaken by event. We are lawyers. We know what to do. And we'll be fortified by the law to look for another process to ensure that the right things are done. So we'll argue our case in court. Meanwhile, we call upon the good people of Ghana to condemn the conduct of Mr. Speaker and then the NDC minority. And it was very rich. It was very rich to hear Dr. Forson immediately proclaiming to be a majority leader. In fact, Mr. Speaker himself, in spite of doing their bidding, fell short of declaring them to be the majority, in spite of all. And then he still found space to address me as majority leader and still address him as minority leader. But again, they further exposed themselves, because immediately after, their flag bearer was on a campaign platform claiming that God has given them the majority status. Is that how God grants majority status on individuals who are full of mischief, vicious, and evil? What they did was evil. What they did in Parliament yesterday was evil. NDC does not believe in democracy. They believe in chaos. And we are law-abiding citizens. We in the MPP are Democrats. We believe in the rule of law, and that is why we calmly left the chamber for them. And we know that if we make our case well in court, the court will make a determination that would advance the cause of democracy. Again, to our party foot soldiers, our parliamentary candidates, and all party members across the length and breadth of the country, these are useful lessons to learn. I urge on all of you that looking at the chaos in Parliament, we don't want skirt and blouse. We don't want situations where you say that somebody in NDC is your friend. At this moment, they have shown to us that if they get an opportunity again to have numbers in Parliament, there will be chaos. They want to frustrate government business as it is today. We have the judges, the Supreme Court judges who have been vetted and are supposed to be approved to work for the nation. They don't want that to happen. There are businessmen who have invested in our country because of our 1D1F policy. Their projects have to be approved. The NDC doesn't want that, so they want there to be chaos. The finance minister is supposed to present some papers to Parliament regarding budget before appropriation. This cannot happen. So they don't believe in democracy. They want chaos because they want an opportunity to come back to fest on us their incompetence. We know how they never believed in the free SHS policy. How they never believed in the free SHS policy. How they don't even have a single social intervention program standing in their name. These are the people who want to create chaos and use that as an opportunity to come back to power. I want to tell every single Ghanaian listening to me today that NDC has nothing new. In fact, upon launching their manifesto, it was clear that they had nothing new to offer. They claim a so-called 24-hour economy. But if you even ask them to explain they get upset and angry. They can't even point to a particular thing they mean by 24-hour economy. I know that MPP hasn't been perfect and MPP cannot be perfect. But I believe in the dreams and the vision of Dr. Bawumia. I believe in the new vision of digitalizing our economy to create opportunity for our Ghanaian youth. On every aspect of the economy, we have done far better than we came to meet it in 2017. I appeal to party members to go all out. Like I said in Takrady, enough of the infighting, enough of the meetings, foot soldiers, police station executives, party chairpersons, parliamentary candidates should go all out to give a resounding victory, overwhelming majority to the MPP to govern peacefully and prove to these guys who don't believe in the Ghana agenda that chaos is not the way to advance democracy. Thank you very much indeed, and God bless our homeland Ghana and make it great and strong.
Okay, thank you very much, yes, there will be Q&A, but you need to catch my attention. And then I'll direct you to still the majority leader. So show by hands if you are interested. I would have said that with this detailed and proper presentation, probably all the naughty observations, but okay, we'll see. Not according to any order. Let me start from you. We'll take 3 at a go. So you, and then Dean, as the first set, please.
All right, thank you. My name is Queen. I work with Ghana. In the light of all these developments, the lifespan of this parliament has not ended. You have your colleagues going independent, I think 2 of them. Is there an opportunity to really further engage, learning lessons from what is going on?
Thank you. Please.
Leader, you have a government business to run. Boycotting parliament means the items you mentioned will not see the light of day. How do you explain this to the Ghanaian people?
Let me answer the 2.
Because the wheels of justice cannot force
the 2.
to expedite the process.
The last one for this session, Dean. I think your question dovetails into this.
My dean and my respected colleagues who have asked this question. First of all, let's put the issues in context. My members who are going independent, i.e. the MP for Suhum and the MP for Agona West, have not applied to me to say that they are no more part of the caucus. 2, the party has not taken any action to dismiss them from the party. Neither have they written to resign from the party. They have only expressed an intent to participate in the next elections as independent candidate. As it is today, as a matter of fact, their status as members of parliament on the ticket of MPP remain same. It hasn't changed. 2, the independent candidate who applied to caucus with MPP has not changed his stand. So nothing has changed in terms of how the composition of parliament is as of today. Indeed, I am in touch with Honorable Amwako Esiama, and in fact, I'm happy to even announce to you that he is also filing a separate action as a result of the conduct of Mr. Speaker. So you will soon see an action filed by him, because what Mr. Speaker has done is to deny his constituents an opportunity to be heard. I don't want to go into the legal issues, but politically, what Mr. Speaker has done is wrong, and it doesn't help democracy. Let's leave it that way.
Okay, so, yes. That's Joy, right? Okay.
Joy FM, you people are known for a lot of mischief. And I would encourage you. No, I will say it. I will not pamper. No. So, yes. So let me address Joy News. Joy News, your role as a media house is to help our democracy. Joy is becoming notorious. Joy FM is becoming notorious for misinforming and doing mischief. Yesterday, they were quick to say that there is now a minority leader and a majority leader. I will not take any of that. I will say it, you can go and bash me, but I will assert my right. It's my bona fide. Your role as a media house is to play your role objectively and help the cause of democracy. City FM does it well. OKFM does it well. Peace FM does it well. GH1. There are other media houses. They express their opinions, but they do the right thing. You are quick, always, to mislead people, and it's not right. Joy FM, I'm saying it today. You can single me out and start your mischief to destroy my brand. I don't really care. The time has come for the country to tell Joy FM that do it right and do it perfectly. That is all the point I want to make to you. So ask your question.
No, leader,
don't do the bidding of NDC.
Leader, with respect, he's not speaking as an individual.
The things you've been doing to us is not fair.
We are joining forces with him, and we are telling you in your face.
Joy FM, why?
It's becoming unbecoming. You are even like I would have denied you the right to ask a question.
But you can black us out. You can black us out, Joy FM. You can black us out. Enough is enough. This is a protest, a far right protest from me. Enough is enough, Joy FM. Enough is enough.
Your question, but you have to be snappy.
The majority leader, please. Say that correctly. Say that correctly. Can you address me properly? If you are not ready, I won't take your question and you can black me out. I'm saying address me properly.
No. You are ruled out.
Say it. Let's hear you again. Correct. Yeah.
You mentioned that you were going to take some action because we have already taken you filed have been overtaken by events.
That is so.
Particularly zoom into the specifics you taken. But also, I want to ask you, if you look at Article 3.9 of your Constitution, it talks about forfeiture of membership. It says a member of the party who stands as an independent candidate against the officially elected member of the party or who declares support for another political party or an independent automatically forfeits his or her membership. That is the operative word of the Constitution. How do you marry that with the point that you have made that these persons still remain members of your party?
Very well. Very well. We will address that for you.
I told you to be snappy, but you decided to ignore me. So shall we listen to you?
Conversations surround Article 72, and then the processes that were filed at the Supreme Court are binding.
72?
97. Now, Speaker has always maintained
Constitution.
When it comes to the legislative powers of Parliament, until it terminates at a point, the apex of the land does not have the authority to come in. Speaker has made this abundantly clear in this year. Of course, leader has on a number of occasions disagreed. Is that not the same principle? Based upon which Speaker then yesterday made a decision. So the time is now right for anybody who disagrees with that decision to then head to the Supreme Court for the court to get it. That is just one aspect. The second aspect is this. Leader, you are a legal brain, a fine legal brain for that. Do you understand the principle behind Article 97 relative to ensuring that that Pandora's box is not open for any incumbent MP who loses to quickly run and stand as an independent candidate? Is that a guide, a protection for the party in this regard?
All right, so
respect.
Okay,
just the last one for this session. I'm sure you've exhausted your questions. We don't have any hand up, right?
Okay. You make a good point. The reason why I'm in court You see, throughout my practice, I've always held a view that where there is lacuna or where there are divergent opinions, we don't have to remain on the streets and continue the gallery talk. Let's go to the right forum. And there's a reason why we are at the Supreme Court for interpretation, so that this matter will be settled once and for all. You know my track record at the bar, so that will speak for itself. Back to my respected friend of Joy News, Kweku Asante. Kweku, every constitution, indeed, any written document, be it the Bible, Quran, any holy book, including our constitution, must be read as a whole. Yes. So the rule of automaticity does not really operate as a means to an end. Due process is always a preferred vehicle to achieve a means. That is why the old saying in law is that if all men find a man's hand in a till, his guilt must be proven. I repeat, if all men find a man's hand in a till, his guilt must be proven. Why that? To allow due process to take effect. So I don't expect you to say that, oh, MPP, you are caught by a particular provision in your constitution, so go by it. No. We are a political party operating with a constitution. So a person must also be heard. A person must be heard, no matter what. So don't let us get in there. But if Mr. Speaker had allowed the matters in issue to be properly determined, wouldn't be where we are. Because my question is, why the rush? In fact, what has become of the Harun Idrisu petition? He's rendered Harun Idrisu's petition odious. He's rendered it nugatory. It is like the Harun Idrisu application will lead to a due process being followed. So we don't want it. But when did we ever, you the media, you're asking a question today, and I've not heard you on your platforms questioning Mr. Speaker on that route. When did a speaker ever allow a statement to metamorphose into a motion for him to rule on? Joy FM did not address this yesterday. When did a statement metamorphose into a motion for a ruling? Is it the case that there is no provision for what should be done when a statement is made? In any event, did what Atuforsin do meet the requirement of a statement under Order 93? Please, when you have your uncle who is also a former Attorney General, you will never be in want. Yes. And a senior member for that matter. You know, the MPP constitution that you quoted, though I answered it generally, but the specific provision under 3, rights of member. So though there's a clause that confers automaticity right on the party, there is also another arm that confers due process, right of fair hearing on the member who is affected. So if you come here, right of a member shall have the right to participate in all activities of the party subject to rules and regulations. Be heard whenever his or activities and conduct are in question and under consideration by the party. So if my member has decided to file as an independent candidate in the next election, and the party is not happy, the constitution, which you quoted, enjoins the party to hear the person, explain your activities. But that is not where we are. This is we NPP, this is us. We have not written to Mr. Speaker. They said they were following precedents. Even if that is the precedents they want to follow, that precedence was triggered by a certain process. Has NDC written to Mr. Speaker? Has NDC, has Fifi Kwete, as General Secretary of NDC, written to Mr. Speaker that Indeed, our member, Kwache Aka, has been sacked. Has MPP written, I as the majority leader and leader of government business and leader of the caucus, have I written to Mr. Speaker to say that this is a communication from the party? Of course not. Therefore, please proceed. So, they have placed something on nothing. And that is why it is falling. It's crashing. There is nothing. There is nothing that supports their actions. And when you want to make your point, Mr. Speaker begins to threaten you. Yesterday, all of you saw the way he was threatening me. He became so apprehensive and called a marshal on us. I mean, I think it was most unfair that after Mr. Speaker has said all that he wanted to say, he now was pushing me by rules. That what rule am I up to respond and all. And that what do I want to say? Basically stopping me from speaking. He didn't want me to speak. And I yielded to him because that is his platform. If Parliament is all about speaker, he should take it. I repeat, if Parliament is all about speaker, and in any event, what Mr. Speaker forgot yesterday is that it took a fit columnist from us to make him a speaker, by the way. Often he forgets and does a bidding of NDC. If it's all the NDC members who voted for him, he wouldn't be speaker. But we leave that to posterity and his own good judgment.
No. So we thank you very much. We thank you very much. Dean, we give you a copy. Dean, for Momo. Dean, I respect you in the office.
So this has been our live coverage. We are live on Joy News. If you want some explanations to make, we can get into that. But the New Patriotic Party in Parliament really making a big case for why they believe that they are still the majority in the House, despite the Speaker having declared despite the Speaker of Parliament having declared 3 of their seats vacant, which means that they are still in the minority. They are not taking that. They say that the Speaker's actions are wrongful and they are going to push until the Supreme Court declares those actions by the Speaker of Parliament as irregular, for which reason it will not be allowed to stand. I'll talk to a few more people about these latest actions that have been taken. Let me talk to the former Minister for Environment, Dr. Free. Doc, hello. Live on Joy News, the camera is here. I mean, Doc, the Speaker has laid out the rules for which reason he has done this. Your side disagrees, and you say you are boycotting. Isn't your government business going to suffer by not coming to Parliament? You have the EPA bill. That is still there.
Oh, the EPA bill is bound for the 3rd reading. So I agree with you. But hey, we have a hierarchy of principles. This boycott is conditional. It's not an indefinite boycott. Until the Supreme Court or the court determines, then we will not participate. Because, in fact, it will be inviting chaos. Assuming we go to the chamber, are we going to abide by the Speaker's ruling? In other words, are we going to be the majority or the minority? You see, and it even has the implication from the bills that are even, pending. So it is, according to my hierarchy of principles, it is better for us to assert ourselves that we still remain the majority leader. And by the way, the issue at hand, that was not the intention of that constitutional provision. You see, it is for a future thing, futuristic. Not now. And that's why you heard me interject that this is a very dangerous ruling. If you say this thing capriciously, even political parties can even use it against some of our members. So we have to be very careful. If you don't take care, they will wait, and I can even envision a situation where parties can use this ruling to cajole us, even if our political opinions or our vision has changed. For example, I'm representing the good people of Sevier also. I was elected on the ticket of MPP, but I reserve the right. If you know my political trajectory, I'm not afraid to say that I've evolved from the political left even to where I am, where we have a right of-center party. But because there are certain beliefs that, because, for example, the marketplace is supreme, That's why I'm an MPP member.
Right.
But if something changes with my party and I want to change, I don't want them to use this thing capriciously. That term that I was elected for by the good people of Serie also, I should serve it before somebody uses this against
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Kwekwe-Friye. So, Dr. Kwekwe-Friye, so we're just about to wrap up our coverage from Parliament, where the minority have been speaking about the specifics of what they believe. If you look at the standing orders now, because 3 seats have been declared vacant on their side, until the Supreme Court overturns the decision of the Speaker of Parliament, the NPP group are in the minority. And here at Joy News, we defend the kind of journalism we do. We have put out credible information. We have not put out misinformation. We have just reported the facts as they have come, and those are the facts that are in the public domain. As we speak, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who until yesterday was the majority leader, has become the minority leader because he does not have the full complement of the membership that he had as of yesterday morning. They only have 135 members, and the NDC now have 136, which makes them the majority. If you look at the standing orders, I should quote some of the interpretation part of the standing orders. It defines the majority leader as the member of parliament designated by the majority caucus in the House. And the majority caucus means the House, the party or parties that have the largest number of seats in the House. And the party or parties that have the largest number in the House currently is the NDC group with 136. And again, we defend the journalism we do here at Joy News. We do not peddle misinformation. We do credible work, and that is why we are Joy News. We are independent, we are fearless and credible. So you can take it over from the studio. More reaction coming in from this decision taken by the Speaker yesterday, and a flurry of responses having come from yesterday. A lot more are going to come, you can bet that, with this new action in the Supreme Court, and a lot more action expected to be taken in the coming days.
Affairs correspondent, and it appears our pursuit of truth, independent, credible and fearless truth, has clearly struck a nerve with a member of parliament who's currently the leader of the minority in parliament. But that's why you trust us, Joy News, your election headquarters, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. And that's the end of News Desk, but there's still a lot more coming your way on Joy News. Keep watching.